everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and today we are going to talk about something that is always influencing our moods, our energy, and our manifestations, whether we realize it or not, and that is the beautiful spectrum of colors. Colors are not just aesthetic, they are not just something that we use for decoration, they are in fact vibrational frequencies. And because we happen to be energetic beings living in an abundant vibrational universe, the colors we surround ourselves with are constantly communicating with our nervous system, our incredible chakras, which are the energy centers of our bodies, and our most powerful and ever aware and open to receiving subconscious mind, which means we are manifesting with color every single day, whether it's intentional or not. So for today, let's get excited, people, because today we are going to talk about how colors are actual frequencies and how we can intentionally use them in our everyday lives to support our joy, peace, clarity, abundance, and desires galore manifesting into our reality. And quite honestly, my intention for today's episode is this: for all of us to become aware to the fact that there is a magic that has been and continues to be all around us. And that magic is color. And when we are aware of this, we can tap into the energy that colors bring into our lives. So much so that we'll never experience the world the same way again. Okay, so with all that being said, together we have all learned that everything in the universe vibrates, including light, and that visible color spectrum moves from lower frequency wavelengths to higher frequency wavelengths. And in that color spectrum, we have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet or purple. And I just want to pause here for a quick second and clarify that when I say frequency, this equates to speed of vibration. So red, for example, is a lower frequency and violet is a higher frequency, which has everything to do with speed of vibration and nothing to do with high vibe versus low vibe. Nah, it's just a vibration thing. And I would also be remiss if I didn't pull the thread here and give a hearty nod to the wonderful science of physics by highlighting that red light has a longer wavelength and slower vibration. Hence, I just noted this, but it also has a low frequency. So longer wavelength, slower vibration, and low frequency. While violet light has a shorter wavelength and faster vibration, resulting in, you guessed it, a high frequency. And I'm telling you all of this because it's important to know that each color carries a specific energetic signature. And what I mean by that is, due to the wavelengths and frequencies, when light hits our eyes, our nervous system is literally receiving different energy information depending on the color. And the color is processed by the brain in ways that our bodies react automatically. For example, red can increase heart rate and stimulate action. Blue can lower blood pressure and promote calm. And yellow stimulates mental activity and optimism. And so over time, we collectively associate colors with certain emotional states. And these associations become emotional shortcuts for us, which means when we see a color, it cues a feeling state almost instantly. And due to the collective energetic agreement, colors and their meanings are continuously reinforced. So when we say energetic signature, we don't mean the color has intentions or emotions. We mean that each color consistently evokes a particular emotional or psychological response pattern within us. And over time, we have learned to feel those responses as meaning. And so with that in mind, here is something very curious when it comes to the collective energetic agreement that has stood the test of time and has been reinforced over and over and over again. And it has to do with the chakra system, which predates modern physics by thousands of years. And so ancient yogis and mystics did not have spectrometers. Rather, they perceived vibrational qualities in the body and they mapped them symbolically using color, sound, and geometry. So when modern science discovered the beautiful electromagnetic spectrum, the chakra alignment was already established, which means it is no coincidence. Rather, let's call it convergent discovery, where ancient conscious science and modern physics describe the same underlying reality. They're just doing it from different perspectives. And I completely love when that happens. What a dream when it all comes together like that. Okay, so now, if we don't know, let's get to know the chakra system, which, as I just said, comes from ancient traditions. And the chakras are energy centers in the body that regulate physical health, emotional balance, and spiritual connection. In fact, each chakra vibrates at a specific frequency, which is why each chakra corresponds to a color, sound, emotion, and psychological theme. And many of you have probably seen like the image of the human sitting or standing with the colors of the energy centers highlighted. And if you haven't, just think of the chakras as like these spinning wheels of energy that run along the spine from the base of the body to the top, or should I say crown of the head. And you know what? How about we go through these 7 chakras and we will align them with their colors plus the energy that they support. And now, I am not going to go too deep into the chakras in this episode, but I am going to lay them out for you along with the theme of each color. And perhaps I can do a chakra episode in the future just to share what I know and how we can have balanced energy in our energy centers, and also how we can be aware when we are blocked and needing some focus on resetting ourselves and getting centered once again. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, but for now, I am going to keep it a little bit high level. Okay, so let's start with the root chakra. It is represented by the color red, and it is located at the base of the spine, or like the tailbone area. And the vibrating frequency and theme of the color red is safety, stability, grounding, drive, action, confidence, and momentum. And then the next chakra is the sacral chakra, and it is represented by the color orange, and it is located at the lower abdomen, just about 2 inches below our belly button. And the frequency and orange color theme is creativity, pleasure, sensuality, emotional flow, and my favorite word and emotion of all time, which is joy. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep moving right along here because I want to get through all 7 of these. And so number 3 is the solar plexus chakra, which is yellow, located around our upper abdomen, our stomach area, just below our rib cage. And the frequency and color theme for yellow is personal power, confidence, identity, will, self-worth, motivation, and boundaries. And then there's the heart chakra, which oddly enough is green. It sometimes shows up as pink, but in most cases it's green. And green, by the way, is known to bridge the physical and spiritual worlds too. Just a little fun fact there. So the location is probably where you kind of guessed it. It is right in the center of our chest. And the frequency and color theme of green is love for both self and others, compassion, emotional healing, health, balance, connection, forgiveness, gratitude, success, and abundance. And now moving up the body, next is the throat chakra, which aligns with the color blue. And the location, well, it's the throat. And the color and frequency theme for the blue throat chakra is expansion, truth, clear communication, listening, authentic expression, peace, calm, focus, and emotional regulation. Okay, 2 more. So the 6th chakra here is the third eye chakra, which aligns to the color indigo, which is one of my favorite colors because it's like that deep bluish purple. I just love it. Okay, and so the location of the third eye chakra is in the center of the forehead, right between the eyebrows. And the color and frequency theme here is intuition, awareness, insight, imagination, clarity, wisdom, inner knowing and perception. And then lastly, the crown chakra, which is up of the head, exactly where we all proudly wear our beautiful crowns. And so the color and frequency theme here for the beautiful purple is spiritual connection, higher consciousness or divine connection, strong sense of purpose, and spiritual awareness and enlightenment. And there we go. That's the 7 chakras along with the aligned color themes. And one way to think of the chakras is like this: energy moving up our spine, and the frequency, it increases, moving from the first chakra to the 7th, or moving up the color spectrum from red to orange to yellow to green to blue to indigo and purple, or as we now know it from the energy perspective, grounding, emotion, power, love, expression, intuition, and divine connection. And you know what? Don't worry about trying to write all of this down. I am going to put the colors in the pod description along with their aligned energy so that you can reference it whenever and however you would like. And so knowing that the colors have an energetic signature which align to the energy centers of our bodies, let's talk about how our lives align to color. And that brings me to something pretty important. And honestly, I did not notice this until I was doing my research on colors. And that is the fact that many of us are living increasingly grayscale lives. And what I mean by that is we have largely muted our color palettes in our homes, and even for many of the offices that we work within. And even our wardrobes have moved into more neutral tones and less vibrant colors. And then we wonder why we're feeling kind of flat, why we feel bored or uninspired, and why joy can feel harder to access. So as a result of these kind of blah feelings, we end up searching for color. And guess where we tend to find it? We find it in our digital devices, our phones, our televisions, our computers, our video games. All of these provide us with bright colors, movement, and aliveness. And this is also a really interesting perspective because when people are addicted to their phones, it has been recommended that they switch their phones to grayscale, because when the color is removed, the device tends to lose a good % of its pull on us, which is stunning to me. So as I thought about it, I thought, well, what if we flip this? What if the problem isn't that the screens are too colorful? What if it's that our real lives aren't colorful enough? Because what we are learning is color is the state of feeling alive. Nature doesn't bloom in gray, and sunsets aren't beige. Fruit doesn't ripen in neutral tones. So when our environments lack color, our nervous systems go searching for stimulation somewhere else. And our digital devices have become the fastest substitute for us. And so, like I just said, what if this is because our lives aren't colorful enough? What can we do to zhuzh up our lives and paint them in incredible color? So let's talk about that. How about we look at our homes? And I promise I'm not going to tell you to go ahead and repaint your entire casa, but we can make some small shifts that can really make a difference. For example, we can bring in color with decorative pillows or throws and blankets, plants. Do you know actual living green is super powerful? We can also decorate with artwork or bedding, candles, accent walls, table linens, even the clothing that we wear at home. Our environment is constantly signaling safety or stress, expansion or contraction. So why not make it an intentional environment? When I purchased my condo that I'm currently living in, I did not consciously understand the impact of colors in our lives. But I am now thinking that energetically, I was choosing what I needed. And what I mean by that is I was looking at tons of homes, but the one I ended up buying, it was by far the most colorful. One bedroom is red and green after the Macintosh and Granny Smith apples. I kid you not. And from that energy perspective, red brings grounding and stability, and green supports healing, growth, love, gratitude and abundance. That room for me held energy that feels like rebuilding. Another room was painted with like sage green and a deep navy blue accent wall. And that combination is incredibly soothing. Sage green yields harmony and gentle expansion, right? Because it's a softer version of green. And blue is calm and emotional regulation. So that space for me supported rest and peace. And then my main living area, well, it's largely like sage green and cream. So the cream softens energy, just like white does. So for example, pink vibrates the same as red, but if we add white, it softens the red. So it has like the same vibe. It's just softer, like a more of a feminine energy. And cream paired with sage green created for me a feeling of safe expansion and ease. So looking back, the colors I chose 2 years ago were supporting exactly what I was manifesting at that time: grounding, healing, calm, love, and steady and abundant growth. So if we think about it, the space that we create tells a story about where we are and where we're going. So think about that. Look around your space right now. What's it telling you? It's pretty insightful when you become truly aware. And it's also kind of fun to see yourself in the environment that you have chosen. Okay, so we have just covered a lot of information about colors, whether it be our chakra energy centers, the energy theme of colors, and also how our bodies, minds, and our spirits naturally crave color in our lives. So now, having some insight around all of this, I want to discuss how we can use color to consciously create in our lives. And here are some fun ways that we can do just that. Okay, so choose colors based on how we want to feel. So before getting dressed in the morning, let's think, how do I want to feel today? And then choose colors that match that emotion and energetic intention. If we want to feel confident, powerful, and motivated, choose red and yellow. Red activates courage and action, while yellow boosts self-worth and empowerment. If we want to manifest more money and abundance, let's surround ourselves with green and purple, because green activates growth and prosperity, and purple adds with higher alignment and purpose. If we want to feel calm, centered, and peaceful, let's choose blue, green, and lavender, which is really a softened version of purple. And these colors soothe the nervous system and bring emotional balance. And if we are craving creativity, joy, and emotional flow, well, then let's work with orange, pink, which is a softened red, and yellow, because these colors will awaken inspiration, playfulness, and intuition. And how about sitting in a room that matches our intention? Our environment is constantly influencing our thoughts, emotions, and energy, even when we are not consciously aware of it. So if we are studying for a test or working intently on a project, sit in a space with blue and green tones, because blue enhances focus, calm, and clarity, while green supports balance and success, helping our nervous system to stay regulated. If we are preparing for a speech or a presentation or interview, then place yourself in an environment with yellow, blue, and red accents. Yellow boosts confidence, blue supports clear communication, and red energizes courageous action. And if we can't find ourselves in spaces of these colors, even small changes like lighting or artwork or clothing or background colors can shift the entire energetic state. And then how about my favorite, which is visualizing our desires surrounded by color? When we visualize our goals, don't just picture the outcome. Bathe in the color and the feelings that it creates. If we are visualizing like more money and abundance, imagine our desire glowing in green and yellow, or golden, which is a variation of yellow, and purple light, because these colors represent growth, prosperity, and divine alignment. And just one more, because this is so much fun. What if we are manifesting our ideal romantic partner? Shout out to Valentine's Day. It's coming up. Perhaps we visualize our hearts and future relationships emphasized with pink, red, and lavender, which is activating love, passion, emotional safety, and soul level connection. Oh my gosh, there are just so many ways that color can strengthen our emotional imprint, and emotions are energy in motion, which is the fuel for manifesting our desires. And I also want to include, because I feel like I'm on a little bit of a roll here, another way to incorporate color is wearing it. And I mentioned that just a bit ago, but I want to elaborate a little more here because it's a really easy way to incorporate color into our everyday life, especially when we're looking to take aligned action. So when we receive those incredible nudges from the universe, like an inspired idea, an intuitive hit, or even a brave next step, try using color to support our action. So if we are about to take a bold leap, or having to have a difficult conversation, or step outside of our comfort zone, then wear red and yellow for courage, confidence, and empowerment. If we are taking creative action, like recording a podcast or writing, designing, or building something new, wear orange, pink, and yellow to activate flow, intuition, and inspiration. If we are taking spiritual or intuitive action, like meditating or journaling or setting intentions or reflecting, wear purple and lavender to deepen clarity, trust, and higher guidance. And lastly, if we are working toward abundant goals, perhaps combine green, gold, and blue to support growth, worthiness, and clear decision making. And come to think of it, another great way to use colors is through candles. If we are intention setting or meditating, journaling, or at any time we are burning a candle, just do it with intention. Select the color that resonates with the vibe we are seeking and just fire it up, because as you can see, there are just truly endless ways that we can consciously choose color in our lives to influence our energy and our emotions and manifesting all sorts of desires into our worlds. And while I was thinking about this pod, I started to become so aware of colors, and I am especially becoming aware as we move into the magical month of February. Not only is it the beginning of the Lunar New Year this month, but it is a time that we are getting ready to grab us some pink and maybe some orange too, because me personally, I want lots of love this month, and I also want lots of joy in my world. So how about you? Give it a go. Get intentional with colors and use the color guide that I'm going to leave in the pod description as a reference tool to guide you to the colors that will help with boosting your energy toward your desires. And honestly, at this moment, I am feeling very orange because of all of the creative ideas that are now running through my mind after doing this episode. And I hope that you are feeling this way too. And so there we have it. So if you are feeling disconnected, uninspired, or dull, or kind of meh, don't reach for your phone first. Rather, look around your space and ask yourself, what energy am I living in? What colors are supporting me? And what colors might I need more of in my life? Because whatever that is, we aren't going to find it on a device screen. Now, we can switch our phones to grayscale. Yes, we can do this, but even more powerful than that, let's switch our lives back to color. And a great quote, and I have no clue who has said this one, but I have heard it, and it goes like this: color is the paintbrush with which nature paints the soul. And if you want to paint my soul and color me happy today, please do me a solid and share this podcast with a friend, and even rate, follow, or leave a review. All of this forever helps me, and I am always super, super green with gratitude. And on that colorful note, I am your host, Lisa Ryan. This is the Joy-Filled Universe podcast, where we explore all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. And I will see you next week. Bye.